Hi, it looks like we're live, and I hope everybody's doing good today. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to get on, and I'm going to get on Instagram right now. Okay, give me one sec. Whoops. You can see the background. Hi. Okay, I'm going to try to do, maybe I could do it like this. I don't know. Hi, everyone. Cindy Olin here with Create Your Own Luck and Love. I am so excited to be live today, live at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And awesome. Okay, so I'm just checking in on Instagram. So I'm going to be looking at a little bit of both. So excited to have you here, excited to dive into this topic today and really help you around your relationships. So if anyone or everyone that is on, go ahead and post. Tell me if you're live or if you're watching the replay. So the replay will be playing for forever, and we'll definitely post it. We'll upload it onto YouTube as well. So for those of you who aren't on social media, you'll have the ability to go ahead and watch this at a later time. All right, so what inspired me to actually share about this topic today, I work with women, and I say a few good men. Actually, I believe there are millions of great men out there. It's not that. I tend to attract more women that work with me, but I work with men as well. So that as a sidebar, something I notice as a theme around the women that I work with is that they've tended to attract difficult and or challenging relationships in their lives. Myself included, I've done that too. And there's a reason for that. Strong, independent women have overcome a lot in their lives. They've problem solved in their business life. They've, I call them survivors, so to speak. And I also, hi to everyone that's joining us right now. And I also call them, people that have, survivors and overcomers. So I don't like to come from a victim mentality. I really do come from a place of empowerment and empowered. So most of the time, relationships don't work out, and this is a news flash I will share with you, because we're seeking comfort and not love. You can write that down, or feel free to ask me any questions as they might come up. We're seeking comfort and not love. So the comfort comes from familiarity. And I work with my clients around this all the time. So something that feels familiar to you. So Raymond Olin, I don't know if we're related. It's always and when I hear my last name, I think, am I related to you? I don't know. But at any rate, great to see those of you that have joined so far. So at any rate, so going back to the top 3 reasons why women tend to, and men do this too, but I'm speaking with women in particular. Strong, independent women will tend to attract difficult relationships into their lives. So going back, we seek comfort, we seek familiarity, and we tend to be chemically attracted to those who feel familiar to us in some way, shape, or form. It can come from a wounding in our life, and or it can come from a place of where we're at, because relationships do meet us where we're at, and there are several different sides to that. You know, inevitably our relationships are meant to not only teach us lessons, but they're also meant to open us up for more love, and open us up for deeper transformation and lessons and, you know, learning. So anyway, let me dive into this topic, because I don't want to lose you guys, but this is really important. So typically, and you know, this goes for men too, typically women will not find happiness in relationships that feel easy for them. And here's why. Because first of all, a lot of life has been hard work. Frankly, I was taught that you work really hard in your life and then you get the payoff, or that life is all about work, which I don't subscribe to that thinking, but that was ingrained into me from a very young age. So naturally that would translate into all of our relationships. Relationships must be really hard work. So if a relationship isn't difficult, then what happens is perhaps there's a questioning around, well, is this relationship really right for me? So, or if I'm not having to work hard to get attention, or to get for the relationship to really work in the way that I want, then it must not be the right thing. I call that square peg round hole thinking. And what happens is we tend to get, we might question, again, we'll question the fact, oh gosh, am I in this relationship that is really right if it's easy? So there's a difference between easy, ease and flow, and being in a situation, because all relationships get hard. Think of any of your friendships. If you've had long-term friends, there have been difficult times or conflicts that have called you to overcome something within that relationship. So comment below if you have any questions when it comes to this. And I took a few notes here. So that's number one. If it's not hard, there's a limiting thought and belief. If it's not hard, it must not really be good. And there can be a lot of chemistry around hard. Haven't you ever heard of, seen those romantic movies, or even been in a situation where you fight and, the making up is really good, but it puts you on a roller coaster ride and there's not a real sense of safety in the partnership. So that's one. So it's that hard work mentality. And there's nothing wrong. I really want to express this again. There's nothing wrong with putting hard work and effort into partnership. It's, really understanding when it's unhealthy and when it's, you're digging in to put some effort in to seek to understand one another and respectfully and come through the other side of that. So there's those things. So that's one. Number two is, strong, independent women tend to be a little bit stubborn. I know, it's crazy. I'm not stubborn at all. Oops, this might have been, it looks like we're having a little problem on Instagram. Anyways, I see you guys are back. Okay, so the stubborn part is, if we have a strong sense of self, and typically strong, independent people do have a strong sense of self, even if there have been challenging relationships or relationships that have, I call it chipped away at who we are, right? Or have makes us question what we really stand for and believe in. There's like a rising phoenix that comes up in us, and when we're challenged around something that we feel strongly about, we don't like to be wrong. So there's an old saying out there that I'd rather be right than happy. Who's felt that way before? Or maybe you don't really feel that way, but that's what your actions are showing. So instead of agreeing to disagree, what this does is it can actually threaten when we feel threatened in who we are, what we stand for, or in a way we feel triggered. There's there can be a breakdown, which again puts walls up and creates what I call a butting of heads and difficulty. So that's another point that happens. I see this happen all the time. And a lot of times the adverse effect of this, and all the women I work with are very thoughtful and they're reflective. So what I see them doing is taking more responsibility for than they should for something that they felt right about. I don't know if that's familiar to you, but you'll start to overthink, well, maybe had I not done this, he wouldn't have done this, and then he wouldn't have left, or whatever it is. Instead of looking, well, relationships are 50-50, and we take 50% of the responsibility for that. So those are things. The other thing is, and this is a really sweet spot, and this is a part where I coach many women, and I've coached men around this too, around strong, independent people will, women specifically, will stay in relationships that are wrong for them, even abusive to an extent, because they are so loyal, for one, because when they've decided that they're in a romance with someone, it's like they're adopting the person. They take the person on who's done that. And and I want to tell you the other side of that, they'll stay because they feel like they can change that. They're super motivated. They've overcome other things in their life. They've accomplished a lot career-wise. And they feel like, okay, so if I do this, I can help this person change or help the situation change. So they're problem solvers by nature. Let me know if that sounds like you. And if you're a problem solver by nature, that's great. And it's great in other areas of your life. But it can be really difficult when you're in an intimate situation and you can't always see red flags, or you're making red flags pink, right? So the matters of the heart, anything we're close to emotionally, can be really difficult, quite frankly, to navigate on your own. So being aware of these things, and also I want to go over one more area, and this is really, really important, and that's vulnerability. So a lot of times strong, independent people have, and I'll say strong, independent women, and men too, specifically, have a hard time with being vulnerable. I think, there's part of our culture that says vulnerability is beautiful, vulnerability is strength. And a lot of times we don't even know how to be vulnerable because maybe we've been vulnerable and we've shared something and then it's been turned around on us. Who's had that happen? Or we've felt exposed in a way that it's really hurt us. So when vulnerability comes up or we are feeling threatened, right? We can get into a fight or flight situation. It's, our ego will come up. Those walls will come up. No kidding. And I wrote this down because this is really, really important. When you've exposed things in the past that you felt that you have been turned on you, or have been all of a sudden shared by somebody else, and you just didn't feel safe about that. So all of a sudden maybe you're feeling like you've got to expose something, or you're inadvertently you are getting hurt by someone's actions. And instead of becoming vulnerable, we can get into fight or flight. So for example, if you're dating someone and you guys had plans to go out of town, and he says, okay, we're going to take this really fun weekend adventure and I'll be there at noon to pick you up, be ready. And he's not there and it's 12:30. So all kinds of things can come up. We can start to feel vulnerable. We can start to feel like, is he not going to show up? What's happening? And we can get triggered, right? So some people will go into calling insistently, texting, and what if you call and text and he doesn't reply? And then so what can happen is we can go into a couple of different places. It can be a trigger around, well, did he stand me up? Did he change his mind? Does he not really want to go? So that's all about you, right? And then on the adverse side, we get to look at, well, what if something happened to him, or is everything okay? So a lot of people will go into, this is about me, not everyone. And sometimes we'll go into, well, wait, did something happen to this person? And then where to go from there. The one thing, if you take away one thing today, it's lead from a compassionate place when things come up, or someone's running late, or whatever's happening. Lead from a compassionate place, and it's highly likely that there was a mishap. Maybe he's on the side of the freeway, got a flat tire, and there's, you never know. But, when we come from that space, oftentimes we're pleasantly surprised. So, and I'll give you guys just something really quick that you can work out an emotional trigger with. And, that's can help you diffuse difficult situations, okay? So you can look at, let's just say the situation, you're dating an amazing guy, or you're dating an amazing woman, whatever, but you're dating an amazing guy, and then he said he's going to take you out of town for the weekend, and he's supposed to be there at noon, and he's not there. It's 12:30, and you start to worry, right? So look at the facts. The fact is that let's say your guy is really consistent upon showing up. So that's the fact. And and then the next, here's the next little tidbit. I look at fact, and then I look at what is the story that I'm creating in my mind. The story is he changed his mind. He doesn't really want to go. Maybe he doesn't like me anymore, right? All of those insecurities that come up that we have, or whatever else could be happening. Or something happened to him, right? So all of these stories can get discombobulated, created, and then so the next thing is work it out. So in a situation like that, as a woman and a love and relationship coach, I don't recommend being the one to readily reach out to a man. And if you're supposed to be going on a trip, it's 12:30, he's not there, you've given him time and space, it's easy to really just send a quick message and say, and those of you on Instagram, I know this might have interrupted. So it's really easy, just send a quick message. Hey, just checking in to see what your ETA is. So make the assumption you guys are still going. Perhaps things come up, and is everything okay? I just wanted to check in, see what your ETA is, and go from there. And then the end part is, most of the time, this is the other side, Bob really shows up. So I'm sure there's something really logical, and I really hope he's okay, right? So if you come from that place and you actually allow yourself space and time, grabbing a pen and a piece of paper to think it through, then that's where you gain your power over your emotions and your emotional triggers. That's just the starting point. This stuff can be really hard when we talk about the type of relationship, why we might attract a difficult relationship. What that really is can be very hard to piece apart on your own. That's part of the reason why experts are so important. And I want to leave you with one last thing, okay? Before we jump off, I could talk all day long and conversate with you guys all day long. So feel free to, again, put your questions, put your comments in the box. And the second thing is if you're very clear, become very clear of your values in a partnership, what is important to you. So I go over what I call the Fabulous Five. My clients decide on the 5 most important things they value in a partnership. And we go over a whole exercise around that, around who you are in that. Hey, Jess, so good to see you. So what your values are in your Fabulous Five, and how you show up in that case, and in that scenario. Do you mirror those qualities, or does he possess some qualities that would inspire you to become even better, which is fine. It's just, it's your values. And when you have a clear sense as to what you want in a relationship, it's so much easier to attract that. So I am also excited to let you know for the next 7 days, I'm doing these lives at 12 p.m. noon Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Mountain, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, and wherever you are in the world, feel free to check it out. And I'm here to support you guys. So I hope this has helped. Let me know if you're live or listening to the replay. I, just want to hear, let me know. And you can also send me a private message in this group. So just DM me. And if you have any questions or you got a big takeaway from this live, I would love to hear it. And I would love to coach you through anything that might be challenging you in this area of your life or something that you're excited about and maybe you have a question on. Again, I'm the only person that checks these, so it's private between you and I. I know sometimes it can feel vulnerable and uncomfortable to post any questions out there on social media. So you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a pleasure, super fun, and as I'm figuring out both of these platforms to connect with you guys on, you'll be seeing a lot more of me on these lives because I want to support and help everyone out there. Sending lots of love and have an amazing rest of your Wednesday. Bye.